So emotional eating is not really a food issue. It's a trauma response. So let's dive in. And if you're new here, welcome. My name is Michelle. I'm a certified holistic nutritionist specializing in emotional eating. So if you've ever felt out of control with food, that you emotionally eat, that these sudden urges come on and you can't seem to control them, it's not really an issue about the food that you're going to and grasping onto. It's more about what's running the show underneath. This is a trauma response. And if you've been trying to fix it with diets and willpower, restriction, exercising more, maybe even intuitive eating, going to talk therapy, it's not hitting the root of this pattern and it's not shifting it. And that's why you still feel out of control with food. So what I found with working with clients and through my own experience with emotional eating is that it is tied in to trauma. And I know trauma in our society can sound like a really scary word, but trauma is on a spectrum. And if we really understand what trauma is, we'll see how this pattern is tied in. So trauma can be from small t to big T trauma. And so, of course, the big T traumas that we think of, they're there. I find when I work with clients, it's rare that we're hitting these big T traumas. It's usually small t traumas. So what is trauma and what are these small t traumas? Essentially, when we're younger and we don't have our needs met, our emotional needs met of being seen or heard or validated, understood, maybe we're even shamed or dismissed around them, what happens is that the emotions that we're feeling, we don't ever get to fully process and integrate it and resolve it, because we didn't have parents or caregivers that could guide us through that process. And at a young age, we need them to help us move through this. Developmentally, we can't do this for ourselves. And when we didn't have this, this creates a trauma. Essentially, those emotions live in our body, creating discomfort, and they don't get to be resolved. And so our nervous system stays in this sort of underlying stress pattern. It doesn't shift from fight or flight to rest and digest. And because we're feeling this uncomfortable sensation in our body, we need to figure out a way to soothe or calm ourselves. And so food is really accessible. It creates a chemical reaction in the body. It releases dopamine. It can soothe and calm us. And it can do this. It's not getting into the deep root. It's a band-aid fix, but it's the best that we can get. And so essentially we're using food to help us regulate our nervous system. But the thing is that food is not meant to really do that, to support us in this way. And so this is why most solutions don't work long term. Yes, you might try that diet and you can willpower and you can fight your urges, you can fight all of the pattern. But what you probably notice is that after a while, or after doing this for many years, you can no longer sustain, you can no longer sort of willpower and control. And that willpower dries up because willpower is not meant to support a trauma response. You're not meant to fight the urge. You might also try to intuitively eat. If this is about trauma, if we're using food to soothe ourselves, it's not really about the food we're eating. Food is more of the surface issue. And so if you intuitive eat or you diet, it's not really set up to get into the deeper pattern that's running the show. And so I spent years in talk therapy. I was journaling and doing affirmations. I had a personal trainer. I was seeing a holistic nutritionist. I was seeing a chiropractor. I was doing all of these things, but it wasn't hitting into the deep root of my pattern. And even when we go to talk therapy, it's not looking at trauma in the body. We're talking about it. We're still in our conscious mind. We're not accessing where trauma lives in the body. We're not using body-based processes to really move through this pattern and to really detach from food. And so this is why when you try to control food, you control what's on your plate, you can fight the urge. Emotional eating really isn't stemming from that. That's sort of the symptom of what's going on. So it doesn't matter how much you perfect your plate or how many days you can do that. If you're not dealing with the underlying root cause of emotional eating that lives in the body that are in these traumas, you're not going to resolve this. And I'm not talking about resolving every single trauma that you have. There are specific ones that are tied into this pattern. There are specific triggers that are relevant for you. And each person is going to be slightly different, but you need to know how to access it and get to that root and stop trying to control what's on your plate. So what actually helps to resolve this pattern? Well, first of all, we have to look at and understand that this is a trauma-based response. It's a coping mechanism to deal with unresolved emotions. And so we have to start catching this pattern. The way I work with clients is that we're catching the pattern. We're seeing where you're triggered because food is so integral to our lives. We can't throw food out the window. We have to observe when we're emotionally eating, when we are truly hungry, so we can start catching the pattern. And then we need to use that to sort of guide us back to the root. And this is going to be about processing the emotion that's running the pattern in that moment for you, helping to really calm and regulate your nervous system, meeting those deeper unmet needs from childhood. This pattern usually goes back to a younger age, and really repatterning and giving yourself what you actually needed. And it can also be about repatterning and rewiring limiting beliefs that are attached to this so that we can get to the other side. But we're doing this in a more somatic way, and we're getting into the root. We're not trying to control food. And so this is essentially what I'm guiding women through inside of the Emotional Eating Evolution program. And so it's not really about managing food. It's really about getting to that deeper root in the body and really resolving it and not using food to soothe, because food has been the band-aid. And I know this can feel really hard. You might think that you've been trying so many things. You just need more willpower, discipline. I totally get it. I thought something was wrong with me, that I just needed more discipline. I just needed to stick to the plan. And so it wasn't until I started realizing what was going on a deeper level that I had more compassion for myself. Of course, I couldn't stick to the plan or do this or control food because so much more was going on under the surface. And so if you are ready to start understanding your pattern, you want to get to the root, you want to resolve it so that you can finally feel ease and peace and confidence around food and in your body in a sustainable way, I would love to invite you to watch my free masterclass, the 3 keys for ambitious women to resolve their emotional eating from the root so they can finally feel confident around food and in their body. I'll put the link below. I just want to say thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, please let me know. Please be sure to like and subscribe. And I look forward to sharing more with you, and I hope you have a great day.